Hey, good morning, my friends, and welcome here to Surfside, California. We're sandwiched between Seal Beach and Huntington Beach. It's a gloriously beautiful morning. There's not much wind here at all. It's still the same overcast thing that we have been seeing, but we've gotten used to that this year, 2023. As you wonder, are we ever going to see the sun in SoCal this year? It's really been that kind of a year. All right, we've got a lot to cover with you. Bluefin tuna are driving people nuts, making their hair fall out. One day they're on, one day they're off. One night it's wide open, one night it's very slow. It's just been that kind of a year also. We see some barracuda starting to filter in, as we've been telling you. One of these days somebody's going to pop off 100 barracuda on one of the local half-day boats or three-quarter-day boats out of the LA, Orange County, or San Diego areas, as we see them from Ensenada all the way up to the Channel Islands. Not a lot, but just starting to show up. Some big yellowtail at San Clemente Island, and also some great halibut and white sea bass up in the Channel Islands. A little bit of wind in the forecast and some albacore news. You know what time it is, everybody. It is time for the morning briefing. Oh, I might have to hang on to this morning. My voice is a little bit raspy. I've been fighting a bad cold for about a week now, but hey, too much to cover with you all to give up, so let's keep it rocking and rolling. I'll ask you all, please, to hit that like button. That means a lot to us. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, and make sure you tick that little bell. You'll be notified when there's new content. We'll get that right out to you. A lot of guys coming out here surfing this morning. It's a beautiful day for that, so that looks really, really good. Once again, I'll ask you all for your thoughts and prayers for our dear friend, Captain Eddie Leland, who continues his battle with prostate cancer. Once again, it is a difficult time for Eddie, and he needs your love, your support, your thoughts, and your prayers. So keep him in mind for sure. All right, my friends, let's get into it. And once again, we are going to start you out south of the border. Just mention that there's some good barracuda fishing going on down there for the boys in Ensenada area, down below there. Seeing more and more of that gar move in there. See some good calico bass fishing. Our friends down there at Bluefin Sport Fishing had some good fishing just the other day, so hopefully that's going to continue to head in the right direction. They're also catching bluefin down there. Got a little wind down in that neck of the woods today. Not a lot, but a little bit. They continue to hammer out some bluefin, but inconsistent. That's been the name of the game. I'll get into that in the San Diego Bite here in just a moment. But since I mentioned wind, we do have some breeze here today and this afternoon. It will manifest itself in several areas. Channel Islands is going to have some wind. Offshore we'll have some wind. It won't shut it down entirely, but it'll make things slightly more difficult. We'll just have to watch it and see where we go from here. All right, yesterday during the daytime, oh my God, where did those things go? Those bluefin that bit so well the night before. You saw the Pegasus and that tremendous score they had at night. They ended up with limits of bluefin tuna. There were several other scores I'll get into with you here in a moment that were outstanding on the bluefin tuna. But yesterday, they go back to the same area, and during the daytime, they are gone. I mean, very little sign of that bluefin tuna. And I know it's bluefin, and I know these kinds of things happen, but it has just been going like that all season long so far. We chalk it up to the cooler water, but who knows? Bluefin tuna are fickle. So we'll just have to see. La bluefin immobile, like La Donna Immobile, women are fickle. This opera would be called Bluefin are fickle. One day they bite, and one day they do not, and it has been that kind of a year. Having said that, the tribute's out on a day and a half trip. 32 guys, 44 bluefin in the 40 to 90 pound class. The Polaris Supreme limits with 144 on the bluefin tuna. How do you beat that? Pegasus. Man, that was a great night bite they had the other night. It was fantastic. 18 guys, 36 bluefin tuna. And then boats fishing in the daytime. The San Diego's been catching good amounts of bluefin. Yesterday, 12 bonita, 10 yellows, 3 skipjack. They said that they scoured a bunch of different areas, could not see the signal that they had before, but now they can eliminate those areas and focus in on some other areas today. So high hopes they come up with some catches. Liberty, 26 guys, 63 Kelpati yellowtail. Nothing wrong with that. And they also had some Spanish jacks to go along with it. So that's good. Those Spanish jacks, you know what that means. I have some albacore news I'll get into with you in a moment. Those yellows on the kelps, 5 to 10 pounds, with some bigger than that. You do see occasional bigger fish. They're taking on a fly line sardine, good hot bait. I like 25-pound fluorocarbon, www.opsonusa.com. Put in FA at checkout, and you'll get a hug and a kiss from owner Greg Brown and a free gift. So make sure you do that. And, really choosing a hot bait. I say it all the time, but for you guys who are new, it really makes a difference. And if you're not exactly sure what that means, as I said, make friends with a crew member when you walk on the boat. Tell them you need some help. They'll show you exactly how to do that. New Loan, great trip, 26 guys, 2-day trip, 92 bluefin tuna. So you are having some absolutely phenomenal fishing for some of the boys down there. And then yesterday, they give us the slip. So hopefully they're back on them again here right now. So 3 rods if you're fishing bluefin down there. I mentioned that 25. You could go 30, 40 if you want to go a little bit heavier than that. Not a bad idea. And then you have a rod with 60 to 80. And then you need a 2-speed with, I like 130, about 100 pound at least. And the jigs at night, it's been varying from like those 300 gram Daiwa SK jigs up to a 420 gram. Some nights they're deep, some nights they're not. Having the metered line, the different color line, Iser line makes it, is a very good idea, because when the captain says drop to 250 feet, you want to be exactly where he tells you to be with your little jig, because it makes all the difference in the world. So make sure you do that, and that should really help you a lot. So good signal, then no signal, and then people pulling their hair out. We'll see what today brings. And of course, remember, during the daytime, we bring you those little snippets, little 30-second updates to get you in touch with the very latest, also with your tackle and everything else. So we'll continue to do that. All right, Albacore news. Let me give it to you. Well, I don't know if it's Albacore news or not, but our dear friend JJ Garrettson is on a commercial Albacore boat. He's a great guy. I met JJ when he was a teenager, I think, on the Pegasus, on the deck of the Pegasus. And I haven't forgotten one thing that struck me about JJ. Maybe he was a little older than that, I don't know. But man, his Spanish was impeccable. He spent some time in Costa Rica, as did I. And so, buenos dias, mucha suerte. JJ, I wish you a lot of luck and hope you find some fish. So, anyway, he's commercial albacore fishing, and he came from way up north to down into this neck of the woods to start prospecting. And that tells you a lot, because JJ, in his little finger, has more knowledge about albacore than I will ever have. And so if his gut is telling him to come down here, if he has some intel that's telling him to come down this way, we'll find out. When I say down this way, I'm talking dumping grounds, worm bank. It looks like that's where he's pointed. I'm not sure exactly what he's up to. He could be, out on a cruise or something, but it doesn't look that way. He's getting his season going. He is starting in this neck of the woods. Hang on. Could have some news out of there today. We'll be watching that very closely. All right, let's talk San Clemente Island, because Jeff Markland, the captain of the Thunderbird, had outstanding fishing on the first day of his 2-day trip with big yellows chewing on the yo-yo iron. There's nothing more fun than fishing those big yellows on heavy string and catching those things on the yo-yo. When they thump that jig, man, I don't know, it's just such an incredible feeling when you feel that. And then they start stripping line. Unless you have 100-pound, then you just button down and they get no line at all. But these forkies, they were big, man. They're pulling line. Nice fish. They also had fish on the live squid dropper looping. Great way to start out. And copious, voluminous amounts of delicious, colorful eating rockfish, as you can see. So great day there. Hopefully they're back on it again here this morning. Also, a couple of other scores for you. The Dreamer had limits of white sea bass. That is no big deal for Captain Alan Watson, known as one of the best white sea bass, if not the best, on the coast here in Southern California for years and years and years. The Apollo got in from a 3-day trip. They had a couple of big bluefin tuna for a novice group of anglers. What a thrill for those guys. And then they had a white sea bass, 7 halibut, and tons of rockfish to go along with that. Excuse me one second. Thank God. I think that'll get me through the rest of the report. On the freelance at Catalina Island, 1 yellowtail. Also, we saw, don't let me jump over the Fury, who had a spectacular day at San Clemente Island, catching 29 yellowtail yesterday. The Fury's been all over it, been doing a really great job, and another fantastic trip. Some yellows over there at Clemente. You get on a different jag of fish. Jeff Markland got on that deep fish, but there's fish on the surface also, so fly line sardine works really well. And a lot of surface iron fish here recently also, Tatty 45 kind of thing. I kind of mentioned Catalina. There's been some yellows caught over there, some sea bass. Some guys are keeping a lid on their catches. and doing pretty good on halibut, sea bass, and yellowtail. But for the most part, good bonita action over there. A little bit of calico bass, some whitefish and sheep's head, and the occasional shot of yellowtail at Catalina Island. Nothing wrong with that. Up in the Channel Islands, it seems to have slowed down a little bit, but there still are some remarkable catches going on up there in that neck of the woods. Most recently on the Endeavor, they had some good sea bass and halibut and tons of rockfish, as you can see. They're just great fishing with Tucker and McCombs. A reminder to you all that the Californian tomorrow, Sunday, kids go fishing for free. If you're a paid adult, kid 12 and under, goes for free. And locally there on the Island Spirit and the Californian, there catch a rockfish, halibut, every once in a while a sea bass. Pretty good fishing up there. The Mirage yesterday, 21 white sea bass on the Mirage for 22 guys. So you do get those explosions on the sea bass and halibut up there. Gray light, 3 halibut and a white sea bass for 6 guys. Ranger 85 on a 3-day trip. Not bad at all. 32 white sea bass, 13 halibut. Of course, these guys have tons of rockfish. I kind of leave that out, but it's just a given up there in the Channel Islands. If you turn and focus your attention to rockfish, you're going to catch. I'll tell you that right now. It's phenomenal fishing up there in that neck of the woods. Coral Sea, Santa Barbara, 3 halibut, rockfish to go along with that. They do have a little wind up there. We'll see what that does. And then they go back into some really nice weather, really beautiful weather at the beginning of the week again. So hopefully we'll get through that little breeze up there and start to catch once again. Folks, I'll tell you, there is a lot going on. I love that JJ is jigging down this way and looking around. And as I say, he's a very knowledgeable fisherman, super nice guy. And I'm got my fingers crossed that we get some Albacore news for you here. Tom Holland is watching it very closely for you all, in touch with all of it. He's the one who pointed out to me that JJ was headed down that way, and he's talking to commercial guys, and he's convinced that something good is about to happen. And so am I. But I've been convinced for several years, and, you know, egg on my face every single time. All right, wishing you a great day and a great morning, a wonderful weekend. Hope you get out and catch some fish. We'll see if this local barracuda, I think that bite is imminent. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes down today. We'll see what happens. Today, somebody's going to crank on some barracuda from the Channel Islands down to the Mexican border. Somebody's got to roll over a little jag of gar that want to eat the iron, right? And of course, we'll be watching Clemente. The Freedom is there. Also, Trevor, talked to him on his way out last night. He'll be keeping us in touch with the very latest. Jeff Markland's already had a great one. The Fury and the Bluefin tuna. Those enigmatic little devils. Will they show up again today in force? I'm thinking, heck yeah. All right, have a great one. As always, it's my pleasure to be with you all, and I hope to see you really, really soon.